Hey y'all, today we're going to be making some juicy Salisbury steaks. I did accompany it with mashed potatoes and green beans. You'll be needing 2 pounds of ground beef, a green onion, a yellow onion, an egg, breadcrumbs, Dale's marinade. For the seasonings, you'll need salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and Creole seasoning. I started off with washing my vegetables very well under some cool water. After that, I went ahead and started to chop up my vegetables. I started with my white onion. I did chop my onion into small pieces. We'll be using the onion for a few different things in this recipe today. I did use about 2/3 of the onion in my meat mixture. I also used some of the onion in my green beans as well as the gravy that went on top of the meat. We're also going to be chopping a whole green bell pepper. The bell pepper is going to be added into the meat mixture. Here we have our 2 pounds of ground beef. To the ground beef, I went ahead and added our green bell pepper, about 2/3 of the white onion, I also added about 2 tablespoons of the Dale's marinade blend. We'll be adding in 1 egg and about half a cup of breadcrumbs. This is going to make it so that the patties stick together. I did use the plain breadcrumbs, but you can use flavored breadcrumbs as well. We'll also be going ahead and seasoning our meat mixture. I seasoned with onion powder, garlic powder, Tony's sacharins, Creole seasoning, and some black pepper. You'll want to mix this all together very well, just to make sure all of the seasonings, the eggs, and the breadcrumb look good throughout. Once everything's mixed over, we'll start making our meat patties. There's absolutely no perfect way to do this. I just kind of went in and started making about a regular hamburger size patty. This made me about 7 total, and this is what they should be looking like. I peeled 4 potatoes in preparation for our garlic mashed potatoes that we'll be making as well. And I chopped the potatoes up into small pieces just to help them boil a little quicker and cook faster. To a large skillet, I added some oil and I heat that to medium-high heat. Once my salted water was ready, I added in my potatoes to get those boiling and I covered the pot. Once my oil was hot, I went ahead and added in my patties. Now I did cook my patties for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. Just remember, we're not cooking them all the way through. We're just searing them to get a nice burn on them, and they'll finish cooking once they're in the gravy. I did go ahead and cook these in 2 batches. I cooked 4 for my first batch, and then my second batch I went ahead and cooked the remaining 3 of them. And as you see, the patties are getting a nice sear on them. Once they were thoroughly cooked on both sides, I went ahead and set them aside so I can put in my next batch. In the same pan that you cooked the patties in, we'll be making our gravy. I did add another 3 tablespoons of the white onion, and I sauteed that with 4 tablespoons of butter. You'll want to go ahead and saute your onions until they are translucent. Once the onions are cooked down, we'll go ahead and be adding in our mushrooms. We'll let this simmer together for about 2 minutes. Your burner should still be on medium-high heat while this is all cooking together. I did end up chopping some of the mushrooms up into smaller pieces, and then I went ahead and added about a tablespoon of garlic. You want to make sure that adding the garlic is the last thing you do before adding in your flour, just to keep the garlic from burning. I did go ahead and add equal parts flour to my butter. So I had 4 tablespoons of butter. So I went ahead and added 4 tablespoons of flour. I gave this a really good mix so that I could coat all of the vegetables. And then I went in with my 2 cups of chicken broth. As you see, I'm not fully adding the chicken broth all at once, but just little by little, just to allow everything to mix together well and kind of introduce it into the pot. And once I see that the flour is not clumping together too much and everything is starting to mix together well, then I'll go ahead and add the remainder of the broth. We'll be seasoning our gravy with the same thing that we seasoned our meat with. So we're going in with the Tony's Creole seasoning, some onion powder, some garlic powder, and some black pepper. And we'll let this simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes prior to adding in our patties. Once I add all of my meat patties back into the pan, I'm going to be covering this and letting it cook for about 10 to 15 minutes just so that the patties can finish off cooking. This will also allow time for our gravy to thicken up. Once our potatoes are drained, we'll go ahead and be adding a stick of butter. We'll also be adding in about half a cup of heavy cream. You can also use milk The amount of heavy cream is completely up to you and the texture that you prefer your mashed potatoes. I do like my mashed potatoes a little bit more on the thicker side, but still creamy. We'll be seasoning the mashed potatoes with some garlic butter seasoning, also some salt and pepper. I also added in a little bit of Parmesan cheese for some added in flavor. Coming back to check on our patties, they're looking good. I basted them a little bit before covering them up to simmer for another 5 minutes or so. And here we are at the final result, you guys. When I say this meal was so good, Salisbury steaks are definitely in my top 5 of comfort foods. The mashed potatoes and the green beans were a perfect side. Let me know in the comments if you end up trying this recipe. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more recipes. See you guys next time.